good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever applies to you. And welcome to the Being Your Own CEO Success Circle. This morning, we're going to talk about writing and blogging. And Mathieu Powell has agreed to share some of his tips and techniques. However, we like to begin by doing some introductions. So I don't know, Mathieu, if you would like to include your own introduction in your presentation, or if you would like to do it now. Your choice.
Oh, thank you, LowellAnn. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. Oh, just a second. David is signaling here. What is it, David?
My neighbor has his toolbox has fallen over, and I have to go over and see if I can fix it up. So I will be gone for 5-10 minutes. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for letting me know.
We are streaming through YouTube and the website with no problem. Okay.
Thank you.
Welcome. Bye.
We'll be back for the good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Good morning, LowellAnn. Just a short introduction by me. Sure. I'm here in Victoria, and I'm the president of something called Coastline Marketing, which is all about creating content for blogs, websites, writing, graphics, and video of late. But today we're talking about writing and blogs.
Right on. So thank you for doing that, and welcome here. We did have a little bit of a giggle about what Matthew's summers are like. He has a young family, and I'm sure he's getting lots of pressure to go camping more often. Yes.
Yeah, my wife insisted that we should buy an RV, so she put $500 down on hold for an RV that so that we could just look at it. So we'd have the option to look at it. It's something called Grand Design, and she assured me it was a really good quality RV. And so it was refundable. And so we went in and looked at it, and she then talked me into working with her to buy it. And so we've got this RV, but we didn't have a truck. Had nothing to haul it with. So then we had to go out and buy a Dodge half-ton truck. So so I'm decked out with an RV and a truck, and so we have to take it out because otherwise what's the point, right? So we've been going out almost every weekend. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday are our weekends these days. I'm missing some of the shows, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, when you have a young family, I mean, it is really important to be doing those things, Mathieu, because it creates wonderful family members, memories for the kids. It pulls the family together. So, yeah.
Fantastic memories. Yeah.
When
the kids are of that age, they're fun.
Yeah. When my kids were that age, we were doing the same things. So, yeah. So, life happens, Okay, so let's carry on with our intros. Vivek, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Namaste. My name is Vivek Anand. I am proud to share my belief with Steve Jobs and Leonardo da Vinci, who said simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication. I aim to bring time-tested wisdom and happiness together into your business and life by unifying, simplifying, and amplifying simple technology and tools. Wake Technology is my company. Together, let us wake up our potential. I am in Reading, UK, and the weather has been really good. It's sunny outside. The temperature has been in the mid 20s centigrade. So it's quite a good weather.
Yeah, quite comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Well, I'm glad you're here, Vivek. And despite the fact you've been working lots of extra hours of late. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, summertime is, when we're juggling jobs or whatever. I mean, in order for everybody to have their summer vacations and all of that, you end up filling in and doing all kinds of extra stuff that you don't normally do. Yeah. Uh, so there's my other expression: life and work happens. So, okay, Fred, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, LowellAnn. I'm Fred Jones, the creator of Our Future Leaders, where we assist young people to gain communication and leadership skills so they can help sort all the problems that the world's having, everything from climate change, like Greta Thunberg, and is doing a wonderful job of that, and many other young people. So that's the mandate that I work on. I'm currently in East Souk, and for anyone who doesn't know where that is, that's about 40 minutes or 40 kilometers, something like that, away from Victoria. And
In an absolutely gorgeous area.
yeah, and there's no community. Well, there's community here, but there's no town, so to speak. There's one shop. I found a volunteer fire department, and that's about all I've seen. And trees everywhere, and it is gorgeous. I can see the Olympic Mountains in Washington State when I look out the window here, across the Straits of Juan de Fuca, which is the main waterway where most of the ships coming from Asia to Vancouver port go through. So it's quite an interesting part of the world. Beautiful. You're right.
Absolutely. Right. So how are your dogs?
Well, I'm looking after one
Oh,
dog.
one
and
dog
cat.
and a cat. Right.
Yeah, it was 4 dogs.
Last time.
Yeah. Now it's 1 dog and 1 cat. And the owner arrives back tomorrow. So then I go to meet someone else who's going to England and look after their dog, which I've done for the past 4 years anyway. I know the dog very well and the owner. So I'll be going there tomorrow. So I'll be moving once again. I'm a nomad, as you know.
Yes. So packing up the rowing machine again.
I have a plan that I'll share with you someday, that I'm going to get a van and have the rowing machine in the van and but it's got to be electric van. I don't want a diesel or anything.
Right.
And Ford has announced that they're making the transit vans, the big transit vans they make. They're going to have an electric one next year. So that's my plan.
Ooh.
I don't know if it's going to come to fruition, but that would mean that I could just drive up and I could row in my van. I don't have to lug that rowing machine in and out and so on. Anyway, talking about RV, talking about Matthew and his RV, I'm going to have a van.
Well, I was going to ask if you could live in the van if you had to.
Yes, and there's an organization in Victoria that customizes vans, that exact van. Well, not that one, the Mercedes Sprinter, which is an equivalent to the Ford. And they've done a lot of customized work.
Yep.
Including a dental cleaning organization. They come up with a van and to an area and they'll clean your teeth.
Wow.
And they've customized that van for them. So there's a really smart operation in Victoria that does that work. So who knows? It might come to fruition. Anyway, RVs, vans, dogs, rowing machines, nomadic life, who knows?
Traveling gyms.
Yeah. Oh, I'm really going to go out. I love saunas, and there are portable saunas in Finland. And there's a guy in Vancouver has a portable sauna, and he parks it at places where near the ocean, and you can have a sauna when you're on the beach and jump in the cold water if you want. That's another thought. Hey, I could get a portable sauna and pull it behind the van. I love saunas and I miss them. Anyway, this is all,
You're making me, you're pulling up a memory I have. When I lived in Yellowknife, we had a gourmet club, and that used to meet monthly at different people's homes. And so one of our gourmet club meetings, we had dinner, and they had a big sauna out on their deck. And so everybody went out into the sauna, but then it was in the middle of the winter time, so they went and rolled in the snow.
Yeah, nothing like it. It's unbelievable. All my family on my mother's side are from Finland. Well, Finnish, and all
Yeah.
my cousins and so on
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
saunas in Thunder Bay. I miss it enormously. It's fantastic, and the health benefits, particularly as you get old, are phenomenal. It's been now. It's not just Finns telling you that. Now there are people with PhDs who've studied all sorts of things, including the sauna, and what they're telling you about the magic effects of a sauna is amazing.
Well,
Anyway.
it only goes to show, Fred, we know that the cultures of the world all have wisdom.
Yeah.
And in the past, we've had a tendency to only want to concentrate on the wisdom in our own culture.
Yeah.
And today we are learning that every culture has wisdom that's worthy of share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even if you've ever been to the First Nations, when they have their hot, what do they call it? You go into the
Oh, they're yeah. You go into inside a tent with hot rocks. What's it
Yes.
called? What's it called, Matthew? Can you remember?
Yeah, the hot rocks in a tent. I've done that. It's a First Nations experience, and I did
Yeah.
it. And it was called
Yeah.
it was called getting together with a bunch of hot rocks in a tent.
It's very similar experience to a sauna.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the same like a Turkish bath, which I had in Turkey.
Yeah.
Same sort of thing. That experience is not only from the Finns. I mean, it's done in many other cultures, and it has very great health benefits.
So you can see that all of us with white hair, every once in a while, we lose a word, and then you can't get it, you can't find it when you want it.
I want to call it smoke house, but it's
No,
not.
it's
the smoke
not
house.
called
That's
that.
that's what you do with your meat,
Yeah.
not yourself.
It'll come
Anyway.
it'll come to me, of course, when I don't need it.
Right. Okay. Enough of that.
The smoke lodge, the smoke.
You're breaking up on us, Matthew. Now, yeah. So in the meantime,
I was just saying, Fred.
So there's something wrong with your system, Matthew, because it's showing you as being mute, and yet we're getting intermittent transmission. So maybe in the meantime we could welcome Alana in Ireland.
Good afternoon, everyone. Alana Birmingham coming to you from Ireland, and my company is ALB Digital Marketing Solutions, where I write copy for small businesses to increase sales and conversions.
Mm-hmm. And is it still summer in Ireland?
Yeah, there's definitely a change though. August, September, and October is actually fall here. So we're kind of like a month earlier than everybody else because we're farther north. So yeah, there's definitely a change in the weather.
Really? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, welcome here. I'm glad you're here. And just so you know, David had to rush next door to help his neighbor and said he'd be back. So,
okay.
So I will share what I'm up to these days. I'm still working 2 days a week, sometimes 3 at Victoria Chinatown Care Center, where we're starting to gear up, trying to encourage and get some volunteers coming, and the day program, like things are starting to open up in the care center, so there's a lot of really interesting things that I'll be needing to do for them in the future, or at least in the coming months. So I'm still doing that. But my big excitement is I have booked a 10-day trip down to the Maritimes. Now, for those of you that don't know what the Maritimes means, that's Eastern Canada, including we're flying into Halifax, Nova Scotia. We're going to do the Cabot Trail on Cape Breton Island. Then we're going to take a ferry over to Prince Edward Island, and we're going to do a little bit of touring around there and probably stay in Charlottetown, the capital of Prince Edward Island. And then we'll take the 9-mile bridge, Centennial Bridge, over to New Brunswick, where I'll get a chance to go and see my... Then we may go down to St. John, New Brunswick, because Robin is my traveling partner. Has some family history there that she wants to look up, and then we'll go back to Halifax, Nova Scotia. So lots of driving, but
you made a perfect case for an RV, LowellAnn.
Yeah, I know. And what I would have wanted to do that, but my partner, she's the driver. She loves driving, but she would rather sort of do stay in places and not do an RV thing. So yeah, I know. When we were a young family, we trucked around the Maritimes in a Volkswagen camper. So anyway, so I'm having fun planning where we're going to stay and all the things that we're going to do, because Robin has never been to the Maritimes. So, and that means I'm going to be able to connect up with a few old school friends and university friends and whatnot. So anyway, David, you're back in time to introduce yourself.
Oh, hello. I'm Dave Flannery. I'm with Affordable Websites for Small Businesses. And when I left, we were streaming on the website and YouTube, and we got about 75-degree Fahrenheit day today, so it's really beautiful. We're looking for some rain.
Aren't we all?
Send it my way.
Mm-hmm.
Got access.
Right.
So, but
well,
I was wondering, Fred, have the fires subsided any, or are they still the same or worse?
Yeah. Well, actually, on the radio this morning, they said that there are fewer fires than there were, but there's still quite a few that are out. And they gave the statistics of the number of hectares of forest that have burned. It was just really depressing to hear. Anyway, we don't want to go to the depressing.
Yeah, and Javita says, good morning, everybody.
Oh, she's there. The last time I looked. Well, good morning, Javita. Happy that you are there. So we have wasted, well, maybe we haven't wasted, chit-chatting a good 20 minutes here. So Matthew has agreed to talk to us about writing blogs. So why do we want to write blogs?
Why do you want to write?
Why do you want to write them? Start with the why.
Yeah, writing blogs. I'll tell you, and Alana, you could probably attest to this. It doesn't necessarily get easier; it just gets more routine. And I'm going to share with you some of the routines of blogging, and how really there are some, I guess you call them hacks, for how you can just get into blogging, and you can either help guide the direction of your blog writing, or you can write them yourself. I've actually given a topic on writing before, and Alana, if you've given one, I'd love to. I'm going to go and see. Have you given any writing topics before, Alana?
She
Yeah.
has.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. So hopefully I'm not covering same territory here, but the question of why is a good question. First of all, let's ask everybody here. Are you all writing blogs? I know you are, Alana, but is everybody else writing blogs? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm purchasing
is.
blogs.
Dave,
I'm purchasing blogs.
you're purchasing blogs. Nice.
Yeah.
What about you, LowellAnn?
Oh yes. I have two websites that, well, three that I post blogs on periodically,
Nice.
but not on a regular basis. And for me, I'm thinking I need to do it more regularly.
Well, I think today can help because I'm going to
Yeah.
show people how they can do it regularly as well. How about you, Vivek? I saw you said no, you're not writing blogs at all.
I used to create video blogs.
So vlogs, VL.
Yes, weekly, but I have stopped that for various reasons, and no, haven't had the time, or maybe I haven't seen that as an important aspect. So
Did it do what you wanted it to do for you?
it did, but now my aims have slightly changed, and so yeah,
I hear you.
maybe blogs would still help me in what I'm going to do next, but yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, well let's get into it then. So writing blogs requires a focus, and one of the challenges I've always had is, okay, how do I find a focus for what I want to do? Because I am so interested in so many different topics, and I've worked with different people on writing blogs. I have a retinue of clients that I have to write blogs for regularly. So really that's one way to do it, is you actually have to, because they're going to pay you. And if they don't, if you don't write it, you don't get paid. So as a writer, that's really my inspiration. It gets me going every morning. But there's a few things you got to know about writing blogs. One is, and I know this is a bit controversial, but there's no such thing as fresh content. There's really no such thing as fresh content. It's all been written before. We are not the first genius to come up with a great idea. The course that you've written has been written in some form before. The concepts you want to portray have all been portrayed before. But what people are interested in is your take on it. And so writing a blog that has your personality in it is really great, or at least something that gets them to think a different angle, because as many times as a topic has been written about or vlogged about, there are still lots of different ways of presenting it, different nuances, different ideas, and different presentations that'll resonate with different audiences well, right? So, but once you give up the idea, like I had to give up the idea early on that, okay, I'm writing content, this is nothing, I mean, it's fresh. It's not that I'm stealing content, but I do often look, when I do my research, I look at what other people are writing. And if I like something that someone has written, I'll rewrite it. But there's nothing really new. And so getting used to that idea is good, because you don't really need to have brand new ideas. And the other thing is, believe it or not, and Alana, you might smack me for this, but writing blogs is formulaic. It really is. Once you accept this, writing becomes so much easier. And what I mean by formulaic is there is a system and a kind of a hack where you can go through a checklist, and I'll provide some of these references at the end for you. You can go through a checklist of things that you can do in order to make your writing a lot easier. And I'm going to tell you two of them right now. So how do you, when you're sitting down to write a blog, you're dealing with a range of feelings like anticipation, a bit of confusion, maybe a bit of frustration because you're not sure where to go. So the first thing I always do is research. And of course, one of the biggest places to do your research is on Google. And you've all done it. You enter a keyword or a phrase that you want to research. And then you look to see what other questions people are asking. And you start to dig around a little bit and do some research, do some reading. Bless you, LowellAnn. Couldn't hear you, but I saw it. And you go through Google and also Bing, by the way, because actually I find Bing more and more as a great repository of really interesting topics, and they'll bring things to me that that Google does not. So check out Bing and even Alexa, because those two places for doing research are great too. I'm just going to interrupt here for a quick second and say that my connection seems to be intermittent. Every 7 minutes, I seem to get a little disconnected. So if I do, just raise your hand and I'll stop for a second until it clears, okay? Is that all right, everybody? Can you all hear me? Okay. Okay, so using Google, and I'm going to share a screen, but I'm just, I don't need to right now. So just, you all know how to use Google to do research? Okay, so I won't get into that. We talked about that before. And then you need to figure out either before or during your research, what is your objective, okay? Don't just let your fingers do the typing. And I've said before, just start typing, but it's better to have an objective. And when you write out an objective, by the way, it becomes, or it's potentially becoming a headline. So whatever the objective of your blog is, and we're going to go through some exercises with each of you to find, I want to find 5 good blog titles for each one of you, if you guys are interested in doing that. But when you're writing, like for instance, how to write a blog in 24 hours, there's an objective, right? Okay, so you write the title, which is also your objective, how to write a blog in 24 hours. And then you're going to write bullet point lists of what you want to cover. Okay. So when you write your objective, which is going to be your title or something like it, and then you write bullet points of what you want to cover, those bullet points become your subheadings. Okay. So it's really quite simple. So let's do it with somebody who wants to write a blog. Don't everybody raise their hand at once. Who would like to write a blog? Let's do it right now. Let's write a blog.
I'll do it if nobody else does, but I would if somebody else would like to do it, I would prefer that they do it. Everybody's gonna sit there.
Go for it, LowellAnn.
Sure. Nobody wants to write a blog? Okay, let's do it, LowellAnn.
I'm
Okay,
in the middle of
let's come
writing
up-
one, so.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we are always in the middle of writing one, but I'm going to put so what I want is I want the group mind to think on this. Okay. So I want suggestions from people. So LowellAnn, do you have an idea of what you want your blog to be about?
Well, I'm going to take our example of what the project that Vivek and I are working on.
Okay.
So what's my objective is I want to write something that would encourage and entice people to give writing their own course a try. So
we want to write their own course.
Yeah. So okay. I'm thinking that based on what you just said, so how to or maybe it could be how to plan your course, something like that. Okay. Yeah. And
so how to plan your course, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Plan your online course.
And
anybody else have an idea?
And my overall objective is to get them to go and look at the website where there's all kinds of resources, etc.
Nice. Get them to your website so they can start to look at the resources on how they're going to build their online course.
And we do have a course that they are going to need to purchase.
So why would people want to? Perfect. So that's actually, there's a bunch of articles that go around that, and we're after the audience of people who want to create a course. So let's say that. So you want to create an online course.
Where do you begin?
Yeah. How about this? So you want to create an online course, 10 strategies. Vivek, do you have an idea? We're just talking about headlines now. Alana.
Yeah, I was going to suggest top 5 steps to creating an online course.
Nice. And what Alana did was excellent. She uses the list strategy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone has to come up with a suggestion. Just so you know, this is an interactive lesson thing today. So who's next? Vivek. Doesn't matter how good it is. Or...
I'm still struggling.
Gotcha. How about you, Fred?
Well, you always start with why.
Yeah.
That's what Vivek would say. Why you want to do a course? If you know, it's great to do it, but why are you doing it? So that's number one. Why do you want to have an online course?
So why start an online course? 15 compelling reasons.
Top 3 reasons why you want to create your own course.
Nice. Okay. 3. I'll use a number here. 3 compelling reasons, and 3 reasons why you want to start an online course today. Do you have one for us, Dave? A headline.
Oh, you're typing this into
I'm putting it all in chat.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. That
Yeah.
means I don't need to write it.
You don't have to take notes.
Perfect.
What do you think, David?
Why you want your online course to be on your website?
Oh, good. So how about why put your online course on your website? Okay. So there's a whole bunch of titles.
I can think of another one.
Oh, go ahead.
Why would you use your own website versus all the other places like Udemy? Like, that's long-winded, but
Yeah,
why would you choose your own website over all the other course provider sites?
Oh, that's a good article because I would like to know.
Or how about why you need to write your own online course?
Need to write your own online course. Good. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 potential titles. Now, I do this whenever I'm sitting down and thinking about a topic. I do this all the time because I want to come up with at least a couple months worth of blogs. And I'm quite serious about this because once you've done this, and you can come up with a couple of different iterations. What I try to do is come up with an A/B test, which I'll share with some people and say, hey, which title do you like better? Which one is more compelling for you? Which one would you want to read? Because, you know, headlines are key. There's a fellow named John Morrow of Smart Blogger. And also Neil Patel, who's really into this field of writing online blogs. And they say that 8 out of 10 people will read your headline, but only 2 out of 10 people will actually read your article. Really? You know, it doesn't really matter how amazing your blog post is. If you don't have a compelling headline, if it's not a great headline, then they're not going to go to your post. Okay, so you really need to sort of think about capturing and encapsulating the reasons or the headline and make it as, you know, interesting and compelling as possible. Have you ever gone to the grocery store and looked at all the magazine articles, right? You see things like, you know, how to gain muscle in 30 days, how to shed 5 pounds fast, or things like, what do you do when you lose your job? So I've come up with 20 popular headlines, which I'll share with you guys. I'm not going to go over all of them right now. But what I will do is I'm going to share this. This is pretty cool here. Am I able to share my screen here? I think I am.
Yes, you are.
1 second. Okay. Share my screen. So those are my notes for today. But what I want to show you is this. This is from John Morrow. It's called Headline Hacks. It's a cheat sheet for writing blog posts that go viral. And it's actually quite good. And this guy, he starts with in defense of stealing, which I'll talk about another time. But basically, this guy here is John Morrow. And, you know, this guy well, I'm unstable. Hold on. Can you guys all hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This fellow John Morrow, he is a quadriplegic in a wheelchair. When I first came across him, I heard his voice talking to me about writing blogs, and I wasn't too impressed with what I was hearing. And then I found out that he's a quadriplegic, then, and he's got compressed chest issues and so on. And suddenly my whole perception of the man changed, because this guy, he had a terrible accident. He's a quadriplegic, and he made a multi-million-dollar organization called Smart Blogger. And he paid for all his incredible, he paid back his dad, who had been paying for all his amazing, like, huge medical bills. And he really wanted to do something to help his dad, and he did. So his story is quite fascinating, and I really encourage you to look him up, John Morrow. But he's written a lot on the topic of blogging, and I'm going to share this. I'm not sure how to do it, LowellAnn. Maybe I'll just send it to you, and you can share it out. But it's really good. It's called Headline Hacks, and it talks about how to create headlines. So they talk first about how-to headlines. They talk about list headlines. They talk about bonus headline hacks. It's a very interesting piece, and I want to share it with all of you guys.
So Matthew, if you just put the link in there, normally what I do after this is over on my website, where I host this, I always have all of the links and items that people have shared. I always put them in there as a link, so people can go and find them. So,
okay,
yeah.
Well, this is actually a downloadable piece, so I'll have to post it somewhere, I guess. We'll figure that out afterwards at LowellAnn.
Okay.
But here's 50 heavy-hitting headlines that these are out in the real world, and they actually did a great job. So, you know, measles can kill and it's spreading. Sue parents who didn't vaccinate? Absolutely.
Whoa.
It's pretty potent. There's a new thing going on around that's quite controversial now. Practical thoughts on suicide. Well, I mean, I had to deal with that in my life, so I'm kind of curious to know what they have to say about that, right? It's a little dark, but this is how we date now. Okay, well, that's not me, because I'm married, but you know, somebody who's dating. Use your baby for exercise, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So there's lots of interesting things here that I'll share with you another time.
So Matthew, you when you started off, you said something that put a different it helped me put a different spin on this. When you said when the first thing you need to do is decide what your objective is and write it down, and that objective can then be turned into a headline. I've
Absolutely.
never thought of the trying to come up with a headline in relation to what my objective is.
See,
and when you said that, suddenly, like, all this stuff came up. Yeah. So that's really a strong, or at least for me, it really worked. So David.
Awesome.
Well, we've been taught that we go and find our keywords first, and then we use our keywords as a headline, instead of doing our headline and then see what that does. And both processes work. It's just that doing the headline the way Matthew's doing it is more creative and more catchy, and it's going to give you better results when people see it, as opposed to you using some keywords that you dredged up that search and everybody, you know, searches for it. You know, like air fryers.
David, because exactly. I'm glad you mentioned that, David, because really I've always been about inspiring people to write, and how do you get going? And when you're doing keyword research, I've also experienced that, where I look up the keywords, and it's really part and parcel with the research you do when you're looking at Google and looking at all the questions. But I find it a lot more motivating, for me at least, to figure out what my objective is and come up with the headlines, because then it guides where I want to go. Because now that you've got 8 headlines, you can actually have, if you were writing a blog a week, LowellAnn, you have 8 different things that you can put out there as a blog and get it out there into the universe, right? Yeah. The next piece of this is to is to basically do So basically what I'm saying is I said this last time I talked, but fire your grade 12 English teacher, because your grade 12 English teacher taught you how to, write it first and then come up with a title. That's not necessarily the case. However, the English teacher was right for the next step, which is to create bullet points. Just do quick bullet points underneath the title about what you want to cover in that article. And I'll tell you, if our clients, Alana and I, we have clients, if they were to do just that, where they'd come up with a headline and then bullet points of what they want the article to cover, it would inform our work for them a lot more. And I encourage my clients to do that whenever they have an idea about articles. I'll go through this process with them where we'll pull out headlines or what we want to talk about, or what the objectives are, and then we'll talk about, okay, what's underneath that objective. So for instance, let's use the last one, why you need to write your own course, your own online course. Well, so what are the reasons that you want to write your online course? So one of it is generate traffic, right? I'm just going to use a 0149. Generate traffic would be one. What would be some others? I'm going to do this in bullet points.
To teach something.
To teach something.
To teach something, yeah. Or to share your own knowledge.
Knowledge, okay. Okay, teach and share knowledge.
Well, and maybe even share skills. Knowledge and skills. Yeah. Let's see.
To me, there's nothing more compelling than helping someone to get to their goal. I mean, that's why I write. Helping people reach their objectives. That's really the only reason I write, is because I want to help my readers reach their objectives.
That one goes for writing and a whole lot of other things that I do, like coaching and etc. Helping people, and certainly some people are not even really clear about what it is that they want to achieve, and so sometimes with writing a course, you can show them how to figure out what it is they want. Sometimes they don't even know what they want. So
show course writer a clear path.
Right. Oh boy, we're losing your transmission, Matthew.
Oh. I'm back. Am I back?
Yeah.
Am I back?
Yeah.
Are you losing me?
No.
Okay.
We're
back.
okay.
Sorry
now.
about that. I'm gonna fix that by getting okay, good. I'm gonna fix that by getting hardwired shortly. So yes, LowellAnn, I totally agree. It helps show people a clearer path. So when I'm writing a course, I love writing because it gives me clarity. And whenever I'm confused about something, I always write it out and write out where I want to go. Just so it helps so much. So what other points do we want to cover under why you need to write your own online course?
I think it's a way of connecting with your audience, because if you're on the course, it could be a course where you give them feedback, and so you can help them along the path. It's not just, okay, here's a book, read a book and it solves it. This is taking them step by step so you can interact with it. I think that's a big part of having an online course and making it effective.
Okay, that's good. I took 2 points from you there. So generate traffic, teach and share knowledge, share skills, sort of the same thing. Show course writer a clear path so they can help the actual course writer have clarity. Connect with an audience in a meaningful way, give feedback, help them along their path, and potential for interaction. So would you agree that those points can be worked over a bit and they turn into the subheadings of your article? So with that gives you the framework to hang all the rest of your writing off of. So what I do at this point is I start into writing for each of those pieces. So just to back step a little bit, after I've done this, you want to write a compelling introduction. and also a compelling conclusion. As my dad used to say, you tell them what you're going to tell them, which is your introduction. You tell them what you told them, which is your body, and then you tell them, which is your body,
Yeah.
and then you tell them what you told them, which is your conclusion. Now, here's an interesting tidbit. A lot of times people will come down. This is Neil Patel again. He uses a heat map system called Crazy Egg. And I'm putting that link in the resources. But he says a lot of times people go into a blog and they'll scroll right down to the conclusion. They'll see what it was about. And if they like it, then they'll commit themselves to reading the rest of your article. So I don't necessarily write the conclusion or the introduction first, but I work on those and then I decide how I'm going to do it. So oftentimes I'm writing and then I've got sometimes I have a fantastic introduction, which ends up being the conclusion or vice versa. But your introduction has to hook people with a bold statement. And obviously it also includes your keywords. Mm-hmm. My own was how to write blogs. Well, I mean, that's my title. And then I talked about compelling reasons why. I'll show you the blog in a second. Give people a good overview of what you're going to discuss, and of course, put the keywords in there because that's what Google likes. Mm-hmm. In the body, use lots of breaks and white spaces. It's suggested that when you're using subheadings and paragraphs, you use no more than 5 or 6 lines. So lots and lots of breakups. And I talked about that last time I was speaking on this subject. And also, here's what's really interesting is you want to go between 1,500 to 2,000 words, which sounds a little bit like a mountain to climb. But let me share a few things with you that I think you'll find interesting. 1 second. One is this. Oops, it's over on the wrong side. Let's move it over here. Average content length of top 10 results. So this is position. This is SERP. And this is, again, put out by Neil Patel. But you can see that the longer blogs get a lot more, they're more often in first and second position than shorter ones. This is even over 2,000. So what I do is I sometimes end up combining articles. For instance, what I did today, this used to be 9 tips and tricks for bloggers. And I had another article which had 3 strong ways to write powerfully for your readers, and I put it in here. And I stuck it in here. Write your niche, show, don't tell, and answer the questions you've raised. So I'm combining articles more often, and now I'm up to this is up to 1,600 words, which is still not enough. I have to hit 2,000 before I'm ready to put this out there.
So Matthew, here's my observation and question.
Yes.
The observation is most people don't read big long articles. So are we doing this are we doing these big long articles just for Google, or are we writing for the audience that we feel as though we want to connect with?
Well, that's a good question, and there is some controversy on this, I'll admit. However, I'm going to show you another one, another interesting graphic here. Oh geez, sorry. I'm trying to bring it up. The little thing gets in the way. Average shares by content length. So isn't it interesting how much more shares there are on the various channels here when your article is longer? Now, I get what you're saying, Isabel. Sometimes our audience wants something short and pithy and it gets to the point. However, more and more I'm finding that I'm bringing those articles together for what Jay would call an anchor article, which is a longer article combining a lot of the best material you've done. And I'm not saying you should write a 3,000 word article every week, for goodness sakes, but I think what I'm doing and what I would recommend you guys do is, as you go along, maybe you have 500 to 1,000 word articles. Look at combining the most popular ones if they're of the same topic. I never leave my articles alone. Like I have this huge file. I'll just show it to you quickly. Here's my writing. And this is my file of articles that either they've been published, or I'm going to, or they never got published because they weren't good enough. or whatnot. But I've got
You
this,
don't want to. You don't want to let the ideas go, right?
yeah. So I record. I keep everything, and it's a pretty. because
Wow.
I'm not trying to show off. I'm just trying to show you that, you know what? Yeah, I know when you write, you get busy, and also you want to be able to keep those ideas, because how I do it, and I'm jumping around a bit, but what I do is I'll write an article, and I'm going for one a day, not 3,000 words. I'm just go for 500 to 1,000 words a day. Then I'll put it in a drawer, and I'll let it cool down. And in a drawer means just I won't even think about or look at it or anything. And then the next morning I'll come back, and I set up a routine in the morning. I get my coffee, I do my stretches, the little exercise, and then I treat it like Christmas. I go and open my Christmas present and look at the article. And I have one of two reactions: either, wow, I wrote that, that's pretty good, or I wrote that, oh my God. If it's the first reaction, then I start to edit it. Okay? I spend the time editing it, and then I give it to my editor. If it's a second reaction, it ends up in that list you just saw, right, to be looked at another day. But here's a trick, or here's the key. If you're doing that and you're writing what you feel it's got potential and it's got good material in it, put a calendar note, or put a note in your calendar just to relook at that article the next, say, month. Because if it's a topic that's interesting to your readers, maybe you've had some new ideas, you've had some new creative input, you've talked to a client about that particular topic and taken down some notes in your notebook. Go back to that article. So make sure you keep track of where your articles are. I used to just get rid of them, but now I keep everything, because there are times when my client will say, you know what, I really want an article on such and such. I go, I wrote something about that, and let me just look it up. Oh yeah, there it is. I categorize everything by topic, and I go and look. Sure enough, there's some stuff I've written that's very relevant for my client. I massage it, work it over, add some new content, and turn it into an article for them. Bing, bang, boom, you're done. So, this average share thing is pretty compelling. And for me, I used to say, well, 3,000 words, I would never, why would I write 3,000 words? I mean, that's too much information, but people like it. They like to know that when they're sharing stuff, they're sharing something really meaty. Now, I personally think it's gone too far, like a 100 reasons how to be a man. I mean, am I going to go through every 100 reason or 100 reasons why this or that? I don't know, but I mean, the stats are there, so take them how you like. The third thing I want to share is this one here, which is word count. Oh, hold on. Gosh. This Google position and word count. This to me is a little more reasonable. So, the around 2,000 is what I aim for. And here, look at this. Number of words going up. A little less than 2,000 is position number 1, which I thought was quite interesting. I'm delving into this to find out more about what this means, but it bounces out at 2,000 and it starts to go down as it gets shorter again. So I'm going to get more information on this piece. I just want to share it this morning because it just basically supports the point that you want to try to make your post pretty meaty, right? And if you're not going to write a 2,000 word post, which is tough to do, granted, but if you've got a lot of bullet points, it gets easier. Trust me. At least consider combining them at a future date. Don't ever let I would never leave my post out there and just leave it. I look at it like 6 months later and see what else I can do with it. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Any thoughts on that, guys?
For me, I'm lucky if I get 200 to 500 words. I don't seem to be able to come up with I don't know. Maybe I'm not telling enough stories or something. I don't know.
500 words is I would consider that a reasonable post, actually, but you could also there are other things you can do. Like you could, if you've got a bullet point kind of a thing, you can actually share the article with somebody and say, hey, what else would you want to know about this? You could share it with Alana and say to Alana, hey, how do I meaningfully add more content to this so that it's not just filler. Like I'm not a big fan of filler. I'm more of a Hemingway kind of guy. I like to get to the point. to be honest, when I started using Yaost, which is a great software tool, you all know Yaost. It's a plugin for WordPress.
SEO.
There's others.
It's an
It
SEO
drove me
program.
crazy. I hated it. I hated it at first, but now it's my best friend.
Right.
I honestly really like Yoast now because it really has helped me with my writing. You know, turning from passive to active style, and of course I do all the SEO work as well. But I really like some of their insights into the writing itself. I'm getting short on time, so I'm gonna hurry. Oh, go ahead, Alana.
No, I was just going to say that one of the things I find is useful for me is when I'm getting stuck with writing something. I normally start off with an idea in my head, and then in order to expand on that to get over 1,000 words, because my posts are normally anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 words, depending on the post, I open up a notepad and I just start doing my research, and I don't do anything until I've done my research, and I just start typing off all the stuff that I am learning about the topic, the product, whatever it is. And a lot of times it'll take me to a place that's completely in another direction, but I can use that. Ultimately, that's stuff I can use, and then I'll go back through it again and I'll say, okay, I need some examples now. So once I do all my research and I have all my bullet points, I think, okay, well, what can I use to make an example of this? And that's how I expand. So examples are great. So you find like what it is you're trying to say, and then find an example of what you're trying to say. It's kind of like piggybacking off what you said before. You say it, then you say it again.
Yeah. Love it. That's great. That's excellent insight. Thank you. Just got a little kid here. Sorry, I'm in the middle of a meeting.
But LowellAnn, if you wanted to send me something, I'm happy to look at it for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, do. Yeah. So I'm going to run through a couple more things before the end of the meeting because we're at 3 minutes to go. I'd really like to delve into the importance of links at some time and how to get links for your articles. Don't forget to add external links. And when you add an external link to a resource, send an email to that person saying, hey, I liked what you did. I linked you up to my article. They'll love it. And they might share your article on their own profiles. It works great. So get a good link for someone that you really like on the topic, and then tell them you linked their stuff. Let them know. And the final word is on editing. Now, the difference between an amateur writer and a professional writer really has just two things. One is how often we write, and two is editing. Lots and lots of editing. Half of my time is spent editing, not writing. Half of it's writing, half it's editing. I think you'd probably agree, Alana. Editing is really the magic where it really makes a difference. But more than that, I've hired a great editor. I have two really important people in my business life, my coach and my editor. They're both golden. I work with my wife, so she's actually the most important person in my business life as well. But my coach is Vic Lindell, my editor is Judy Robertson, and they're both people I treat as gold. It's a good idea to have someone else look at your stuff before you post it. I know I'm always in a hurry to get it posted, but it's good to let it sit and just do one more edit, and then have one person who's a good editor look at it with you. That piece that I showed you, LowellAnn, just going to show you what it looks like right now. I sent it to my editor. What is it now? Oh, I had it open. Oh, here it is. Here we are. It's over here. Am I sharing right now?
No.
I'm probably not sharing. Hold on.
There
we go. So that's what it looks like after my editor has it. It's it's got lots of edits. I got to go through all of those before I actually post it, because she knows what she's doing. She knows how to not just to correct stuff like grammar and spelling, but also things that don't necessarily make sense the way I wrote them out, and maybe they could be said in a different way. She has suggestions and so on. So a good editor is definitely worth it. I wish you, the most important thing is write, make a schedule writing, write your way, write every day, and enjoy the process.
Yeah, that's the best advice. Write every day. And I
That was
noticed,
a great presentation, Matthew.
yeah, it
Thank you.
was, and I love the fact that you made it interactive, even though everybody was going, I don't know what.
Well, I love getting people involved. That's just the Toastmaster in me, right, Fred?
Oh dear, we are right on the hour, and I was just trying to think. I also like the piece, the fact that you said have somebody else look at it. I used to do that. I had a friend who kind of runs a bit of a writers group, and I probably would never have written anything if I hadn't had her looking at my stuff. And
Really? Wow.
she
That's
did
awesome.
that. She did that for a whole year, and the end result of that was that I just learned a lot about it. And as a result of that, it gave me the courage to sort of try it. But
Oh, that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
A good editor is so valuable in that
Mm-hmm.
they can make you better as a writer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know myself, when I go to somebody's website and I see typos and spelling errors and things of that nature, it makes me want to run the other way.
Yeah.
You really lose your credibility.
Yeah.
If your materials are poorly done. Yeah. So, any other questions or comments before we kind of? And I know Fred usually likes to have the last word. You want the last word, Fred? Without pressure. If you don't feel like doing it.
Oh, I always feel like doing it, LowellAnn, and I appreciate you asking me to do it. I enjoyed a lot of items. There's a lot of buttons that that Matthew came up with when it comes to communication, because this is communication, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
It can be spoken if you're doing a speech, it's writing, or even resumes, because as you may recall, I was a recruiter for many years, and what works with a resume works with an article and works with a speech. It's all the same basics. You got to grab them up front with your headline, tell them who you are and what you have available for them, if it's a resume or if it's an article or if it's a speech. And then you have to, they skim, they don't look at it. Like, again, Matthew said, sometimes they look at the ending before they even say, hey, is this something I should read? So they skim it. And if it's a resume, they say, all right, who's this person? Is it something I'd be interested in reading before they read it? And if you've grabbed them with your bullet points, as you say, or subheadings, which is exactly what Matthew said, then they will read the article. And then it becomes the length of the article isn't an issue, because you've grabbed them and they're interested, and if you can keep their interest because it's well written or well presented, if it's a speech, you've got them in the palm of your hand. And what are you trying to do? You're normally trying to help them and solve their problems, whatever that problem is.
Yeah.
So what is the problem you're trying to solve? Is it doing a course, or is it hiring a person? It's all got the same thing. So again, it comes back to what Matthew said. What his father said. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and tell them what you told them.
Yeah.
It's exactly, for everything is exactly, this is basic communication. And yet you're writing an article, and the more you do it, and the more you practice, if you write every day, you'll be better. And of course, get someone else to help you, like a mentor or a coach or an editor. Doesn't matter. You need this because another set of eyes is important, because and I think everything he said is there, but in summary, it's basic communication skills. That's what we're talking about, and it applies every methodology we're using. So that's what I saw today. So thanks, Matthew. That was a great reminder.
That was an awesome summary. Thank you.
Yes.
5 minutes. I could have done it in 5 minutes, Fred.
Well, and thank you, Fred. What pops into my mind, given the instructions that both of you have said, what I was thinking about was my frustration when I'm trying to read something in the newspaper. You got this big, long article. It's all squunched up together. It doesn't have any bullet points. I find myself reading maybe the first two paragraphs and the last paragraph.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
I'm finding that you get used to reading everything online, and then when you get faced with a book or a newspaper, it feels uncomfortable. So. All right, so we are at our farewell time. I always like to say farewell by reminding everyone that it's important to do what you love with passion. And unfortunately, we haven't planned next month's or this month's topics as yet. So I have no idea what next week is going to be. And once we stop recording, we'll probably have that conversation. So bye for now, and we will see you next week. I promise you that it will be an interesting topic. That much I can promise.
Cool.
Okay, so bye for now. I need to do my alt.